With field goal blocks, you guys have blocked quite a few during your tenure. Is there, and when you watched that one, was it just a jump off the edge? What's the kind of the, when you look at those type of plays, what's kind of the key for you guys, the blocking unit, to kind of make that happen?
He blocked it with his head. Being tall helps. Um, we were not happy with our effort or execution on field goal block 2 weeks ago. We actually did an extra period of field goal and field goal block on Tuesday, and I thought the kids took the coaching really well and executed it, with great effort and strain. And that's one of those plays that you may give all your whole effort for 100 plays in a row and have nothing to show for it. But the one time you get the opportunity, you got to make sure you're in position. And we gave great effort the whole night, and then eventually, I think we got a little bit of a help from a low kick, but to Luke's credit, we got the penetration to block it.
You said right after the game you didn't think it'd be a long-term deal with Hooker. Is there any more clarity on that a couple days later?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a long-term deal. I think it's going to be okay.
With Farley, did he take like a knee to the head or something like that on that goal line play?
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be back too, so should be good, I think.
Coach, could the bye week not have come at a better time after such a stressful and long game on Saturday, and then of course trying to heal up from some injuries?
Sure. I don't know. I'm kind of the opinion that the bye weeks come when they do, and you make the most of it. But we certainly have a nice little opportunity to get some guys some rest and some young people some work. We're going to continue to have to, through this last stretch here, play some more people that haven't played very much. So continuing to try and get those guys ready. It's kind of like your last gasp for a big breath of air before you go underwater for a little while right here. And we've got to do a great job serving two masters. One, getting some guys that have got a lot of mileage on them back feeling good, and then getting some other guys ready for the stretch run.
After a game like that, what does the next day kind of look like? Are you still kind of buzzing from it? What is just the whole emotion surrounding that?
Well, that's one thing about this business. You don't have a lot of time, good or bad. So after the game, you go to dinner with recruits. You get up the next morning, you come and you host the recruits. You put the film, you go through the film and analyze what happened, get your teaching points, and move forward. So it's not, it's just the way this deal is. You work all year for 12 opportunities, and then the next one's coming just around the corner. So there's always work to be done. Doesn't mean you don't enjoy it, but the two challenges are when things don't go well, you've got to be able to turn the page and move forward. And then when things do go well, you got to be able to turn the page. And sometimes it's harder, especially for younger players, to turn the page after having success. And we've got to learn from the mistakes that were made. We should never gloss over them just because we got the result we wanted, and learn and teach off of those so that we can continue to improve.
When you start the spring, you pretty much split the quarterback reps evenly. And it seems like when you get into the season, first and second teams are pretty even as well. How do you handle the third team quarterback in that situation? Is it hard to get as much work for somebody like that when you're limited for time during the season?
Yeah, I mean, you essentially said it, Andy. I mean, the 1 and 2 guys get a majority of the reps during the preparation week. There's just so many reps to go around. We still do get our third guy some work. There's enough opportunities to get him some work, but not nearly as much. So 1 and 2 usually split it equally. Now there's different situations. If you're in a situation where, one guy is maybe not the full package backup, but he's going to play a little bit, then you change things around a little bit. But for the most part, that's the way it works.
Considering that, how do you think Quincy handled being thrown into that situation? And I know you as coaches been fairly fortunate with health with your quarterbacks. You haven't had to dip to the third string guy too often. How has it been for you to kind of coax production out of a third string guy like that?
Well, first of all, I was really proud of Quincy, along with several guys. If I didn't make mention of this, I meant to. Look at guys that filled in roles that either traditionally hadn't been starters or didn't start the game as a starter. From Khalil to Chapman to Norrell, Cannon, Dalton serving a bunch of different roles in there. Certainly Quincy. So really proud of the way those guys were prepared and ready to play. Yeah, it was interesting having him in there for that time and overtime, crafting. We can call anything, but things that we feel really confident that we can get executed. And he did a great job. He was into the moment. He wasn't under no circumstances at any time did it seem too big for him. I mean, he was ready to play, and that's the most difficult job. To be that's what we talked about as a team. To go into a game and know you're going to play is one thing. To not be certain if you're going to play one play or 100 plays, it's hard to get ready for that week in and week out. And we had several guys that did a good job of that.
You mentioned about, you have everything at your disposal, but with Quincy, you probably don't want to use everything because what does he know? What does he execute? He said he hadn't repped 2-point conversions at all, kind of in the fall. So did you fall back on goal line plays? What's your how do you do that when he hasn't even, you don't know what you're kind of going to get from him on those?
Well, first of all, I mean, we had a 2-point. It's kind of ironic. We in the bye week we had a session of 2-point plays, good versus good, that I thought was a really productive period for us. What we didn't know was that several weeks down the road, it would be Quincy in there at quarterback. So you fall back on what you know you can execute. It doesn't have to be a 2-point play. It doesn't have to be some crazy Philly special play, to go execute to get 3 yards. It can be, certainly. But so you fall back on things that he's repped time and time again that you feel good that he can go out there and do.
And then when you switch to him, obviously you mentioned on Saturday the game plan kind of shift, run, focus, the offensive line. How do you think they handled it? A lot of reps for them, pushing physical. When you rewatched it, what kind of jumped out at you when Quincy was that run-heavy focus?
Well, we had our hands full with their defensive front. I thought they're big and strong. A completely different scheme than, say, Miami, who's also very talented on the defensive front. Miami's more of a penetrating defense. North Carolina was more of a 50 on the line of scrimmage defense. And I think that group continues to improve. I'm really pleased with our ability to continue to get better. For them, it doesn't change, though. The plays are the same, the formation and handling of the ball and all that sort of stuff. So, they don't. It's not a huge change for the right guard based on who's in. We're not going to ask those guys. They have enough to worry about. We don't ask them to switch based on who's in. So, but I thought they handled it well. We got to continue to get better. But some of those young guys are continuing to improve.
Yeah, Coach, speaking of offensive line, you guys have rushed for over 200 yards now in 2 straight games. Deshaun McLeese was in here talking to us after the game, and he talked about how well the offensive line is playing. What have you seen from them over the last 2 games?
Well, we've just, they've given great effort. I think where we have made some strides in the last several weeks is from a technical standpoint. There's a lot of technique involved in playing those positions, and I think they've taken the onus on themselves to embrace that level of coaching to improve there, and I think we've gotten better. On a side note, I was really proud of Deshaun, not just how he played, but we were in the game, and all of a sudden there's a large switch in what we're trying to accomplish, and Dalton is now in there a lot more at tailback because of Quincy and that sort of stuff. And you got a guy that's being productive that now his reps got diminished a little bit there, and how he handled that I thought spoke volumes to the rest of the team. Just continuing to support, and I thought it was worth special recognition with the team yesterday and how he handled that situation.
David covered some of my question about the right side of the line, the development there. It just seems like a lot of Deshaun's yards, not totally to the right side of the line, but he's gotten some bigger chunk plays on the right side. It seems like this month has progressed where he's had a big set of games. But when you look at Deshaun in particular, was he banged up at all earlier on? He just seems like he's running more determined, puts his shoulder down a little bit more when he's in the open field and pushes for open yards and things like that, or is it just a different approach maybe?
No, I don't think. He has not been, to my knowledge, he has not been not healthy. I think he's gaining a little bit of confidence, and so are the guys up front. I think the combination of those two has led to, Deshaun maybe feeling a little better, and I don't want to say running harder because I don't want to imply that he didn't run hard to begin with, but I just think there's a bigger, there's a level of confidence in both those groups right now that we can be productive.
Is Keyshawn banged up, or is he just kind of phased out with personnel groupings and specifics?
He was a little banged up for the game. We dressed him and had him ready and tried not to play him, so he should be fine for the game.
As you saw Devin on video yesterday, what were sort of your impressions of him and how he played in the first half and the second half there for Reggie?
Yeah, he's another one I should have mentioned earlier with Khalil and the rest of those that are in Armani and that we're not full-time starters but had to fill in, and I thought he did a really good job. He was where he was supposed to be. He was reading his keys and filled in really well.
It seems to be a pretty distinct line in the sand from field goals inside 40 yards and outside 40 yards. Do you open up that competition more, take a closer look at this, or do you still feel comfortable with him as the kicker going forward, even on longer ones?
Yeah, we'll certainly look at that. You take into consideration that in play calls as well when you get down there in kind of that gray area. So we'll continue to work Brian and Parker in there, and through this week that'll be a point of emphasis as well, and we'll see as we head towards the next game.
You mentioned him a little earlier, but Austin Cannon and just him coming in his journey and everything, what does that mean for him? You've seen him as a coach, all he's gone through, to come in a moment like that and perform for you guys.
A pretty remarkable story. Probably one of the best teammates we have on the entire team. Just loves the program, his fellow teammates, about as team first as you can get in terms of playing on special teams and always being ready, and to get to play as much as he did and play as efficiently as he did. It's a nice reward for him.
He gave up a bunch of yardage in the first quarter, and at the start of the second quarter, Ralph Pollard knocked down Sam Holland, and gets in his face, wags his finger. Was that swagger you saw on the recruiting trail? Do you like that? You mentioned him being one of the guys that stand out, but he seemed to have that throughout the game where he was,
He doesn't lack confidence. He's not lacking for confidence. What's the question?
Well, did
answer
you
it.
expect that? Was that something that jumped out at you when you saw his film or recruiting?
His confidence,
personality.
Yeah, he's got some personality. We don't. I'm not one for all the extra stuff, but he certainly believes in himself, and when he gets opportunities, more often than not, he makes plays.
But he does bring some energy too, right?
Sure.
There is that part of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jewelry game is strong too.
Yeah, he's well dressed.
And he's non-jewelry.
Mm-mm.
I'm just curious, when you rewatched overtime, so many plays that you can ask about. Anything jump out at you as a key moment or play, or when you were watching it back again? What jumped out at you from those kind of overtime periods? Just curious.
I don't know. Speaking just overtime, they're just so like it's kind of hard. Like each series was kind of crazy. I did feel like we were playing really well on defense. I mean, our red zone defense. I don't know what we are statistically, but I felt pretty good. Even when teams have scored, like they've had to earn it, and I felt like we were playing pretty well. If we could just find a way to, to get the thing in the end zone or get it a little bit closer, I thought we were going to be okay. But I mean, there's so many big plays. Khalil's 2-point stops to holding them to field goals, to blocking field goals, to fourth down touchdown pass. I mean, there's just one right after another. I'm not doing a very good job of saying there's only one or two things that sticks out to me. They're just, you saw the game. I mean, there's just there's a lot going on.
What was your previous long game that you've been a part of?
I know I've coached in a double overtime game. I'm not sure I've been past that.
Does it take a toll on the players? I guess you got your 170 plays, second longest game of your tenure in terms of that. Physically, the next day, do you kind of back off a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we do have a bye. I mean, we had the kids in the weight room and did a little moving around yesterday, but we did not practice. We're not practicing today. We'll take it into consideration in making our schedule for this week, because it certainly was a taxing ball game. There's no question, and we've got, like I said, we've got to serve two things here. We've got a few days before we go on the road recruiting that we've got to we got to get them feeling good, but we've also got to improve. We can't just lay on the couch all week. So that's part of the head coach's job, is balancing those things and trying to figure out what the team needs in order to get the best results.